go. Okay, so as I said earlier this evening, we're going to be looking specifically at the assembly drawing and the animations portion of this project. So if we open up and we look at, actually, I'm just remembering, I want to close my video so that we're not on the screen, and all of you can feel free to close your video as well. I want to go to my assembly drawing, and this is going to be part of that, creating a full set of working drawings for this assembly. So what I have here for you is a detailed drawing guide, and we'll reference this in a little bit. You can download this, but this is going to be the drawing. Maybe I can pull it up right here. This is going to be the drawing that we are going to mimic. Zoom out here a little bit for our assembly. So our assembly drawing for our crankshaft assembly. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that you understand how to use the borders so that they can create this bill of material and automatically generate. It's quite simple because we were able to, in Creo, kind of automate that process in the background. So I want to make sure that you know and understand how to go through that process, and making sure that you know where the balloons are and how to maneuver those around as well. So I am going to go back a level here, and we are going to go into Creo. Now, what I've done already is I have our assembly up. Okay, so I have the assembly model completed and done. And I like to have this on the screen as I start then a new drawing. That way, some of that stuff automatically populates for me. So I am going to go into File, and we're going to go to New. And this time we want to go in and we want to create a drawing. Now, one thing I want to tell you that you didn't see me do in the background here, is that I did set my working directory before I came in, and I pulled up this assembly. Even if you just go and you pull up the assembly, you didn't set your working directory. Make sure you do that before, even if the working directory is where you're getting your assembly out of, make sure that you're setting that up before you actually pull anything in. So I just wanted to remind us of that process because we've been away from it for a little while. So I'm going to go into drawing. And right now it has the file name here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to check off use default template, because we want to pull in our assembly template this time to create our drawing. And then I'm going to click on use drawing model as the file name. So again, when we generated our model, we saved it as a number. It was 20100, okay, is our assembly. So it's going to automatically pull that, okay? So then I'm just going to hit OK. All right. Now what you're going to notice is, because I have that model in the background, it's going to pull that number for me. If you don't have the model open, and you don't have to, I just like it because it does some of this work for me. What you can do is you can then browse to the model in the working directory, and you can call it up here. So you don't have to have it open. Then you want to use a template. If you leave this empty, there's not going to be a border. If you use if you use something else, or if you have that standard template or default template checked, then it's going to just go into a default mode. But we want to actually navigate to our WCTC borders. So we want to say use template, and then we're going to browse. Okay, you could pick one of these generic ones if you were, making something for some other purpose, but now we want to go to our working directory, and it should go back to that directory for you because you specified your working directory. And at the very end here, this is where we want to pull up the B-size assembly 3-view drawing border. Okay, so remember, there's a B-size template that's for the individual parts. The B-size assembly is the one that we want to pick up here. Okay, because this is going to have the background, bill of material generating and balloons and all that kind of stuff for us. So we're going to hit open, and it's going to populate here in the template. So that's good. And then we're going to hit OK. And what's going to happen is it's automatically going to put 3 views on the assembly on the border for us. Okay. So then now we're going to go into enter your text. So we've got enter the material. This is going to be N/A. All text on a drawing has to be in our in capital letters. So make sure even in your title block, it's there. We put NA for non-applicable because this is an assembly, so it's not going to have individual material associated with it. So we're going to hit OK, then enter the text for drawn by KRR and OK. And then enter the text for the parameter of part name. And I think this is crank shaft assembly. And I just always abbreviate assembly ASSY. And then I'm going to hit OK. And it should populate there for us. And it did. So you'll notice that your drawing border is populated. Now, the scale that they pulled this in at is at 1/3 scale. Now that's to get what they kind of guessed at, if you would, to get the 3 views on there. We aren't going to be using the 3 views. If we go back to Canvas, and I don't think I downloaded that, and we go to the PDF drawing, you're going to notice what we're going to do is we're just going to have one side view drawing, which is going to be like the front view. It's going to balloon that front view, and then we're going to add a pictorial up in the corner. All right. And then, so I'm going to go back over here. Oopsie, sorry, wrong one. So I'm going to change, actually, I wanted to go back here. I wanted to take a peek. You'll notice that my scale is 0.75. So that seems to fill it up nicely, make it nice and big and readable. So I'm going to use that same scale on my drawing. Okay. Now to change the scale of the drawing, it's just like when we do it for other part drawings down in the left-hand corner here. We're just going to double click on the current scale, which is 1/3, and we're going to change it to 0.75. Enter. All right. And now you're going to notice that we can see that we have those extra drawing views in there that we don't need. So we just want this middle one here, which is our front view. So I'm just going to hover over, I'm going to left click on our top view there, and you can either use your delete key on your keyboard, or you can hit the X up in that dialog box. And I'm going to do that same thing for the right side. So you can also hit this X here, and it's going to take it away. And then right now we have lock view movement. So I'm going to toggle off of that in our layout tab. I'm going to left click on this, and then I'm just going to scooch this over here. Okay. You'll notice that it automatically ballooned for us. So, which is really nice. And that's part of, if you would, the automation of creating the template for the assembly drawing. But it does have on here some planes and axes that probably aren't needed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to the heads up menu, I think it's officially called, all the way to the right. And we are just going to unselect all. And we are just going to leave it just like that. So it kind of cleans everything up, makes it easy to see where different things are. Now here too, what you can do if you want to, I'm going to maybe move this over just a little bit. We might want to kind of reposition our balloon. So I think the 4 is a little close. So if you left click on it, then you get the opportunity to get that little box over the top, and then you can just drag and release when you get it to where you want it to be. I think the 2 and the 1 are fine. I think the 5 is fine, but the 3 a little close. So I'm going to left click and pull that away a little bit. Okay. So that's all set for us. Something that happened here, and this is kind of my fault, but yeah, but I'll tell you how it can get corrected. So number 1, the part number for each of our individual parts is going to populate with the part number itself. Now, what I've done so that I can do demonstrations is my initial project that I created, and all of the detailed drawings and the assembly has all of the file names in there correctly under common name and your drawing file name, and saved correctly. So when we go to, when we go here and we look, notice that everything is populated accordingly, and it's to the first version of the part numbers that I did. When I recreated or added extra versions of this, so you'll notice that on the assembly that I have here, notice that it's in _2. I didn't realize this, and I'll show you how you can do this if you need to change it. I didn't go back in and change the common name to what I wanted the common name to be. It just did a generic crossover when it did that work. So I will show you how you can update that at the individual model level. Okay, so you have to go back to the model, each individual. So I'll show you how to do that, and then it'll update here as well. So it might not be a bad exercise, because sometimes if we didn't give the description here in the common name and we left it, for instance, if it was not in all caps, you have to go back and you have to change that because all text on a drawing has to be in all caps. Otherwise, it's not to the standard. So I'll show you how we can update that at the model level. But before we do, let's pull in an extra view here. This extra view is just going to be a general view. It's going to be an isometric. You can just say no combined state. Okay. And then I'm going to left click where I want it placed. And actually exactly the way this is what I want. It's going to default. It's going to be an isometric view is that default orientation. And because I changed all of the colors and such, those colors are going to show up. Feel free to leave that. Okay. I think it looks good to have that differentiation. I think this view looks good. It's appropriate for the size, and we can simply hit apply and okay. And now you've got your isometric in the side view there. I like an isometric on any and all drawings that we do. I think it gives clarity more than just people who know how to read engineering drawings or technical drawings are going to be looking at your documentation, your parts. People from purchasing, maybe people who are in quality and they are just going to be pulling the parts. You want to have a nice little pictorial. It just gives clarity to what they're looking at. Okay, so if you have your description in the common name correctly, as we had been identifying when we were setting these up, then you're going to see those names populate. But if they don't populate correctly, or if it's not in there, I'm going to show you how you can add them and it'll update here. So I'm going to do a quick file save, and it has the file name that I want here, and I can just hit OK. It's in my working directory. But I'm going to go back and, for instance, I'm going to pull up the 210 _2. So I'm going to go over to open 210 _2 because this is the one that assembly is pulling from. So I'm going to select that part. I'm going to say open. This is that end cap, and I am going to go underneath file, manage file, and I'm going to say rename. Okay. You'll notice here that it says it has rename here, and I want to rename in session. Okay. So it's doing it right now. So here's the file name that it's saved at, which is, I want to leave that. Now you're not going to have an _2. You're just going to have it as 210. But then the common name, because again, I did just a copy over and like renamed it. You need to add in here end cap. Okay. And that's it. And then you're going to say, okay, you want to save this file save. And then now we're going to go back to our assembly. And now you're going to notice that end cap updates as the description. So that's where it's pulling from the common name. So when you go in, you start a new part, for instance, if I want to start a brand new part, I'm going to do new, and I start a brand new part. File name is going to be the file name that I actually save it at, so that over here, it populates the part number. Common name is going to populate under description. So if you do that up front and you do it in capital letters, then you don't have to go back and change it. But if you end up needing to, so for instance, if you put this in here and you have, your file name is okay, but your common name was in lowercase, then all you have to do is go back like we did on the end cap, and you just go to, you pull up that model, you do file, manage file, rename it, rename in session, and then this is where you change that common name. Okay, and then make sure it's in all caps. Then you can just hit okay and just make sure that you do a quick save on that, so then it crosses over into the assembly. Chris, you had a question?
Yeah.
Oh, did that answer it? Okay, good. Okay, so any questions about that? And I look at that very closely because again, you want to make sure that you have all caps on everything. You want to make sure that your descriptions of each one of your individual parts match what they're supposed to. But like I said, I'm kind of glad that this mistake happened because of the fact that when I did just the rename of the file, you can do that too, but then it doesn't automatically prompt you to put a new common name in, and it just defaults it to that part number. So so there you have it. Assembly drawing, I think, is actually quite straightforward. Now, when you want to hand this one in, you want to create a PDF. So very simple. Once you have everything where you want it to be, you want to save it as your file first. And then you want to do all kind of your business in the background, manage file, delete all versions, so you don't have those all hanging out in the background in your directory, your working directory. But then you can just simply go to File, and you can do a Save As, and you can do an export. And this is where you want to select PDF. Make sure that you see everything on the screen, which you should, okay? And then if you don't see it all on the screen, you want to go to Settings, and then just make sure, see, is it content, parameters, visible? Check. I guess maybe it doesn't. Maybe it automatically fits it to screen. I was just going to look if there was any place where I'm not. Do you see a fit to screen? I think it might do it automatically at this level. Yeah. So I just wanted to be sure. So then once that looks okay, you can just simply hit export, and then it's going to want to navigate. You're going to want to save it in the directory where you want it to go. It's automatically going to go to your working directory as normal. So you can either, rename this or leave it as is, and it's going to then give it the PDF extension. You can simply hit OK, and now you're there. Yes.
I think there was a way to like adjust the where the arrows of the balloons are pointing. It's not like position, but I have.
Oh, so yeah, the question is maneuvering or moving the arrowheads on a balloon. So for instance, you want to select that balloon, and then you simply want to left click and kind of drag it where you want it to go. You're going to be a bit limited because of the fact that it's only going to go along that continuous line, for instance, if I want to put it somewhere else. Let me check and think. If we go to, hold on one second. If you don't like the placement of a balloon, and let's say, like, for instance, if I have my number 4 here, like I said, I'm only able to kind of move this along that continuous line. If I want to kind of put it down here instead, it won't let me. Okay. So what I can do, I can hit delete and get rid of it. And I can add a new balloon. The place that the new balloon is going to be under table, because they're married or associated with the bill of material. That's where you kind of put the bill of material or set it up. So we're going to go under table, and you're simply going to go to create balloon. And you just want to, by component, and you're going to select the component that you want. Okay. And I think you got to select on one of the, select one. Okay. Let me try that again. Select the balloon by component. Select one or more. This is this one. Okay. And then it places it. So you select one and you hit OK. And then now you can kind of move around here a little bit. And again, let me see if I can, if I right click on it. Got create balloon. I know it is a little funky. So here, by component, I'm going to click over here. I'm going to click over there. I'm going to hit OK. Yeah. I'm going to go over here. Nice. I'll have to play around with it. I'll be back to you on that. I might have to do a little bit of digging. I'm not sure why mine is not. Usually it's a little simpler.
There's the balloon and the top. Yeah, I just clicked the balloon on above create balloons.
But mine's, oh, maybe I have to click on it and then right click it. Oh, edit attachment. How come I didn't feel like that came up before? So let me try that again. Let me do it on number 3. So 3, left click. Wait, oh, highlight it first, right click, edit attachment. Was that there before? I don't feel like I saw that. Done. Maybe I wasn't highlighting it. Okay, so that is how you can do it. Thank you, Josh, very much. Okay, so hopefully that's enough for you to kind of finish up if you need to the rest of the assembly drawing and then upload it to the assignment. So it's just the one drawing that you upload to the assembly drawing assignment. Any questions on that I hopefully can answer? Okay, so I'm gonna stop recording. There we go.